9:38 a.m. and we are now talking about an alleged crypto investment scheme that is linked to a Mauritian-born Ahmed Yassin. This has come under intense scrutiny, and we've also heard about the business practitioner or the business rescue practitioner resigning, citing lack of evidence. The key question is what has become of the money? Where did the money go? Now, just to put this into context, and Salam Media received an email on the 15th of April talking about, could you please investigate Libertas GH? Is it another Muslim-run investment that has gone in the wind? Shareholders have had no communication or update on their investments and the status of the company for almost 6 months now. Now, this communication came through to Salam Media. There was subsequent communication as well between Salam Media, and we also tried to get hold of Ahmed Yassin, whom we were told cannot talk to us because the matter is with his lawyers, or his lawyers advise him not to talk. We are now joined by the CEO of IRS Forensic Investigations, Chet Thomas. We will be joined shortly by the liquidator, Fazlul Suleiman. Chet, good morning to you, sir, and welcome to the show.
Very good morning to you and to the viewers and listeners, and thank you so much for the invitation.
Yes, Ched, what do we know about Libertas GH at this point in time? Because the question that is being asked is, where did the money go? And I know, you've obviously had a huge interest in this matter since it actually had surfaced as well. So what do we know until now? What is the situation with regard to Libertas GH?
So the organization that I'm a part of, IRS Forensic Investigations, was mandated by 5 of the original investors to investigate the status of their investments in this particular organization. They had heard various stories, and then, of course, much like many other investors, Yassin Hassan-Bukas went quiet on them, and they weren't able to get feedback from either him or other individuals from within the organization. Of course, there were a couple of stories doing the rounds. There were the normal stalk tactics, but things got to a point where we called it a black swan event. Everybody was asking for their money, and nobody was getting any returns, any profits, or any feedback for that matter. We allowed Mr. Hassan-Bukas the opportunity of a right of reply. It was mediated by a third party from the Muslim community, a very well-known businessman in Crown Gardens. And during the meeting, we found that Mr. Hassan-Bukas was exceptionally evasive, and he hadn't made a full declaration of the amount of money that had actually been invested into this purported scheme, as well as the true number of investors. So what went from 100 million rand became 200 million rand, became 500 million rand. And now we're hearing talk within the communities that this could actually be north of 1.2 billion rands worth of investors' monies that have gone into this particular scheme. Now, the scheme was structured around cryptocurrency, the mining of cryptocurrency. According to Mr. Hassan-Bukas, he had a joint venture agreement with a Serbian national, and they were mining crypto in Bosnia. And the black swan event that put a hold on that particular business transaction was the fact that the Serbian purportedly passed away, and they didn't have access to the crypto. They then explained to us, Hassan-Bukas, as the representative of Libertas, that they'd made a further investment on behalf of the investors into a sugar transaction from Brazil. The sugar would come to South Africa, it would be transported to Botswana, it would be repacked in Botswana, sent back to South Africa, where it would be sold by a national retailer. According to sources, that was a very small deal in the region of about 8 million rand. They claimed that they weren't paid out any funds that were owing to them by the person who brokered the sugar transaction. The third transaction was the so-called plastic to diesel transaction, where Libertas purportedly invested funds into a company that is manufacturing diesel from plastic. It sounds like a very interesting concept. But it's not Libertas themselves that's invested. Special purpose vehicles were created where Hassan-Bukas and others were directors, but it didn't have direct linkages to the whole Libertas scheme. And there again, another black swan event. Hassan Bukas claimed that monies that had to be returned were tied up in a transaction in the Netherlands in Europe. So with every transaction they seem to have had, there seems to be a story about where the funds are. And we're talking about hundreds, if not thousands of people that have been prejudiced as a result of this particular scheme. We're talking about people that have invested life savings and pensions. And we are not getting clear answers. And it seems like the original business rescue practitioner that was appointed wasn't getting clear answers either, hence the reason he resigned. There's now a new business rescue practitioner that's been appointed, Thomas Salmons, and he's holding a creditors meeting next week, Thursday. And we hope he's got more clarity from Hassan Bukas and the others that are implicated in this particular scheme.
Yes, obviously, at this point in time, the matter has come to the attention of Salam Media, and this is the reason why we are having this discussion, Chad. And we've actually tried to reach out to Ahmed Yassin as well, and this was in April, over a month ago. And apparently, his lawyers have now advised him that not to do any interviews at this point in time. So, at this point in time, what we're saying is there are very little answers that possibly yourself and even investors are getting.
So what's critical to understand is we believe very strongly in the principle of audi altrum partem, which is the right of reply. So we extended a right of reply to Ahmed Yassin Hassan Bukas, who I will refer to as either Yassin or Hassan Bukas. He doesn't go by the name Ahmed or Ahmed. And we were able to meet with him and put certain questions to him. He then lawyered up. He sent a cease and desist letter to ourselves from his attorney. He sent a cease and desist letter to the mediator in that particular meeting, and he went on the offensive. That was a way of stalling, to say that we are not prepared to speak and we are now going to threaten you. If you continue talking about this in the public domain, or if you want to speak to witnesses or investors, or you want to make allegations, we are going to go to high court on an urgent basis and we are going to sue you because your remarks are defamatory. That is very strange coming from an investment scheme. Why would they threaten the people that have been appointed to investigate and to assist in the mediation? Obviously, no high court interdict was granted because they never went to high court on an urgent basis. The attorney for record called our investigation idiotic. They called myself somebody that was an idiot, that was making a noise around this. But all I was doing was asking the questions anybody should ask. If you are giving financial advice, and you are taking investments from the public, where's your financial services number from the FSCA? The other question I asked, if you are taking deposits from the public and paying them profits on that, well, that is in contravention of the Banks Act. Are you registered with the Prudential Authority? Very simple questions, not technical questions. In terms of the Companies Act, Section 22, Regular 76, Regular Section 214, have the directors acted in a delinquent matter? Because one of the directors that Yassin Hassan Bukas had appointed, who was a relative of his, had purportedly misrepresented facts, had been arrested, a firearm had been found in his vehicle, apparently illicit narcotics had been found in his vehicle. They hadn't disclosed to the investors that another arrest had been made in respect of allegations from another investor. So there was so much in respect of red flags, and the fact that they were not prepared to answer to any of these and rather go on the defensive, or the offensive rather, and threaten with lawsuits that they didn't follow through with, and have an attorney who doesn't have an understanding of the Financial Advisory Intermediary Services Act or the Banks Act, and to call an investigation into this idiotic, it's very, very concerning, because what care do they have for the investors if they're referring to an investigation as idiotic? Surely those investors deserve to know exactly what transpired, where their money went, and whether or not this scheme was registered in the correct manner and fashion with the regulatory authorities as set up in South Africa. We believe there's been breaches of the Financial Intelligence Center Act, there's been breaches of the FASE Act, and if we extend further, we believe that there may even be contraventions of the Prevention of Organized Crime Act, that this may have in actual fact been a Ponzi scheme.
Well, Chad, I'm going to put you on hold. We need to go for an air break, but what I'd like to do is, I know you'd like to listen in. We're going to bring in the liquidator, Fazlul Suleiman.
Perfect.
At Dynasty Islamic, we believe your financial future should grow with purpose and in line with your values. We specialize in Sharia-compliant financial solutions designed to protect, grow, and preserve your wealth. Whether it's investment planning, risk cover, or structuring your legacy, our approach is rooted in transparency, integrity, and ethical principles. Too often, people invest without knowing if their money aligns with their beliefs. At Dynasty Islamic, we change that, offering you clarity, confidence, and peace of mind. Let us help you build a future that's not only financially secure, but spiritually aligned. Dynasty Islamic, where your wealth meets your values. Get in touch with us at info@dynastyislamicfas.co.za, visit www.dynastyislamic.com, or find us on Facebook and Instagram.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness, and every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and free zakat calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042-203-1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Al Bayt Lodge, your true home away from home. Al Bayt is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities. Conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities, your stay will be truly unforgettable, as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Al Bayt has to offer. For reservations, call 041 583 6415 or visit www.albaytlodge.co.za.
Tonight, a child in a shack will try to sleep through the cold. No heating, no insulation, just thin walls and a biting cold. African Muslims Agency is on the ground, reaching families in informal settlements across South Africa with blankets and winter essentials. Help us spread warmth this winter. For 180 Rand, give a blanket. For 360 Rand, a full winter pack. One gift, one less night in the cold. Africa Muslims Agency. Empowering, educating, inspiring.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
Well, we continue with our broadcast, and earlier on we spoke with the CEO of IRS Forensic Investigations, Chet Thomas, with regard to Libertas GH, and we subsequently learned that the company was placed into business rescue, but the business rescue practitioner had actually resigned. And the question is, what next and what happens next? Is the company under business rescue? Is it under liquidation? And we're going across now to be joined by the appointed liquidator, Fazlul Suleiman. Fazlul, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sorry, just a point of correction there. I haven't been appointed liquidator.
Oh, you're not. You're sorry. My apologies for that. Okay. You are a liquidator, obviously, by profession.
I'm a liquidator. I'm a liquidator and a business rescue practitioner, yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay. All right. No problem. So we're basically getting an independent view on where we are at this point in time. Now, the question has been on whether this company has been under business rescue or being liquidated. But I think you're putting on your business rescue hat. And I think this is important because we know that the last business rescue practitioner had actually resigned and citing a number of reasons. And Ched obviously articulated this. Just your take in terms of, where this saga is at this point in time, Fazlul.
Okay, so just to give you a bit of background, when a business goes into business rescue, it's usually the first step to shutting down. Business rescue was introduced in South Africa about 5 years ago, and one of the purposes was to save jobs and to keep businesses alive. And so in a liquidation, if I were to liquidate a business, I'd shut it down, fire the staff, and they'll wait for a couple of years before they see any dividends, if there are dividends. In a business rescue, we keep the business open, we keep the doors open. The little I know about Libertas and the allegations that are going around is that it was a Ponzi scheme. And maybe that is why the business rescue practitioner resigned, or that there's no hope of saving the business. Unfortunately, in South Africa, business rescue hasn't been very successful. And you got to understand that if you want to revive a business, you need capital and you need inflow. And most of the banks, the only bank that has a business rescue division that considers anything like that is First National Bank. All the other major banks don't have a division and can't support you in any way. So without extra capital or creditors helping you or outside funding, it's difficult to keep the doors open. Very few business rescues have been successful. Not so much on the turnaround, but on selling the businesses, and that way the people's jobs was the staff's jobs were saved, and it carried on. So it's your first. If I use a medical term, is business rescue is when you on a ventilator or in ICU, and very few business rescues go back to the ward and get discharged. And if that doesn't work, then the business goes into liquidation, and unfortunately, everybody loses their work, and assets are sold off, and creditors are paid a dividend. That's the procedure and the process, basically.
Fazlul, obviously, a lot of this is actually evidence-based as well, and a business rescue practitioner needs to be convinced that a business can be saved or can't be saved. And coming back to Libertas GH, and in this particular circumstance, when a business rescue practitioner highlights a severe lack of evidence regarding available funding to repay investors, what is he actually saying?
You're quite correct in saying that the business rescue practitioner is there to investigate the business and check whatever is going on. Unfortunately, I don't want to say too much about Libertas because everything that's going around is rumor, but it wasn't much of a business that employed staff and people from the rumors I've heard, or rather the allegations that are going around. So I'm assuming that the business rescue practitioner, I don't know who he was, resigned because he saw no future in the business. And obviously, why should we do all the work and the investigations and finally let the business go into liquidation and somebody else takes on the liquidation job? So if there's investors involved, it's again an allegation and an assumption that it's most likely a Ponzi scheme. We've had quite a few of these go down in the last couple of years, but again, rumor is in the industry that this is one of the largest Ponzi schemes in the past couple of years in our country. Yeah.
Just from an investor perspective, what say do the investors have, particularly when a business is placed under business rescue? Because it's their money ultimately that they're concerned about. It is money that they've invested in a scheme or in whatever in any form or manner.
You see, that's the problem where you have schemes where the dividends are too good to be true, like in this case here, then obviously it's going to hit a problem. Those who invested in the beginning and saw a massive return will still be smiling. Those who came in the tail end are the ones who are going to suffer. And to answer your question, so the business rescue practitioner does a whole proposal, does a background, tells you why in a report form, in a written report form, which he sends out to all the creditors, why he thinks the business went down, and what the future hope of the business is, whether it can be revived, if it needs capital, how much capital it needs, whether it can be sold, whether he has buyers, whether he has offers, or whether he thinks it must go into liquidation. So then he calls up a meeting of creditors, and whatever the decision is, if there's an offer on the table to sell the business or to place it into liquidation, he doesn't need any support from the creditors. But if there's an offer to sell and there's a compromise and the offer is say 50, 60, 80, 90 cents in the rand, then you need to put it to the vote, and 75% of your creditors need to vote in favor of the offer on the table.
Well, just finally, in the absence of a business rescue practitioner, like in this particular case where the business rescue practitioner resigned, legally, what other alternatives are there? Are there any other options?
There can be a new business rescue practitioner appointed, and the other alternative is to take it into provisional liquidation, continue with the investigation, see what went wrong, and then take it into final liquidation.
Okay.
And obviously,
well,
it's to make it viable for the creditors, because the more assets you recover, the more the dividend payout for the creditors.
Perfect. Jazakallah khairan so much for that and for clarifying the issue. And once again, my apologies for appointing you as a liquidator. We've cleared that up.
Jazakallah khair for line, and assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yes, that was Fazlul Suleiman, liquidator, just providing an independent view on the saga that obviously has been playing out as well, and just providing some useful information actually when it comes to issues surrounding business rescue and liquidation. And early on, the CEO of IRS Forensic Investigations, Chet Thomas, putting the entire saga into perspective. With that, the time is just gone 10 a.m. and it's time to sign off. Once again, it's been an absolute pleasure being with you in the company of our viewers and listeners at Salam Media. And just to remind you that tomorrow, a big day for Salam Media, the annual walk for Gaza. There will be free health screening taking place, diabetes, blood pressure, eye screening as well, post the walk as well. Tomorrow taking place starting at 7:30 a.m., starting at the Regina Mundi Church, ending at the Soweto Mosque, and a number of organizations will be joining us as well. So please, if you have the time, you have the opportunity, please make your way to the Regina Mundi Church tomorrow. And this is our annual Soweto Walk for Gaza. With that, I'm signing off. I'll be back with you, inshallah, on Wednesday on the airwaves of Salam Media. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Soweto, it's time to stand together for justice, peace, and solidarity. Join us for the annual Soweto Walk for Gaza, taking place on Saturday, the 20th of June at 7:30 a.m. The walk will begin at the historic Regina Mundi Church and proceed to the monumentous Lamini Mosque, bringing together people of all faiths, backgrounds, and communities in a powerful show of unity and support. Bring your family, friends, and fellow residents as we walk together for a common cause. Let your voice be heard and your presence counted. That's the annual Soweto Walk for Gaza, Saturday, the 20th of June at 7:30 in the morning, starting at Regina Mundi Church and ending at Lamini Mosque. Together we walk, together we stand, together we show solidarity.